everyone. It's a very pleasant Saturday evening. Wet, rainy, but I think it stopped. Things are peaceful, contemplative, wide-ranging, and experimental. So I'm streaming on a few platforms. I don't even know if it's going live on all those places it's supposed to go live on. But I think I'm live. Isn't it going on live stream? I was hoping it would go on X live stream, but I don't see it. What a shame. It does not appear that I am on Twitter live stream. Should I stop and start again and make sure it's on Twitter live stream? Perhaps it's on. Because if it's not on Twitter live stream, I would want it to be on Twitter live stream. So this is what I should do. I should tweet this channel. Yes. And I guess I should say it's Claire Cause Saturday night space stream. And I should send this link to Vincent in case he wants to join. Certainly to Stephen if he's listening. I wonder if there'll be people who might be offended not to be asked, or offended to be asked. I'll give Vincent a bit of a prod. I won't ring until he answers. I don't know if I have any views. Is it on Facebook? Is it on Facebook? It's certainly not live on Twitter live stream, but it's supposed to be. Well, Twitter, Vincent, I know, is live, so I'm trying to contact him. He just posted a tweet about 7 minutes ago. It's not going live on Facebook. Is anybody able to see any of this at all? It's not live on Facebook either. No. All right. I guess. Well, where is it live then? One final place. So, am I live or not? Oh, yes. Somebody's turned up. Is it just me? Two watching. Okay, at least somebody's watching. Now, I hope someone will come. Oh, John Gisela. I want him to join me. Perhaps he will. I wonder who will be the first person to turn up. Who will be the lucky person? I'll just send it to everyone that I think might come or would be entertaining. Ah, dead air. Not much going on, is there? Have I not gone live yet? Yes, I have. Well, I was hoping somebody might come. But if what shall I talk about? Oh, great. SJJ
One
is
of the great
here.
Jewish thinkers in terms of concatenating Jewish thought.
Yo, what's up, Claire? What's
Hello.
up? I was just
Hello,
listening to Richard
yeah.
Spencer on his space, and it's not recorded, so it was interesting. They were grilling him about is he still committed to the ethno state? And I hadn't heard his answer about this in recent times. So because of course he's flip flopped. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. But
okay.
I was silently answering the question and thinking, no, your hero, Richard Spencer, is not going to be faithful to anything. So no.
Well, let's.
And I know you're a bit gay for him, but that's what I think of your hero, Richard Spencer.
Well, let's just.
They're all iconoclasts. I think it's. I'm not saying it's a cliche what you're saying, and I'm not denigrating what you're saying. I'm just saying they're all revolutionary thinkers. And it's funny when Immanuel Kant.
I just want to know if they've gone off the topic yet. Does Richard Spencer still advocate for an ethno state in America?
Kant. They hated him so much because they thought he had killed God. So all these people, they paid a tremendous price for being very revolutionary thinkers.
Yes, yeah. Kant was censored by the Catholic Church. Nietzsche was not, kind of, and I've always found that fascinating. I'm sure Nietzsche was extremely disappointed that he wasn't recognized by the
sometimes they don't get censored.
I think they finished. Anyway, his answer was yes, actually he does, which is interesting.
But under certain conditions. Blah, 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 blah.
He said as a theoretical idea or something.
Yeah. Otherwise, there'd be trouble, right? It's like, I mean, what could he say? Hawaii? I bet a lot of white people would like their ethno state to be Hawaii.
That'd be quite cool, actually. Although it's not big enough for all of us, I suppose. It'd have to be more like
Europeans,
Texas.
they want to live like grass-skirted natives. That's all they wanted.
That'd be cool.
All along.
You could just surf all day, and hang out.
Occasionally do a bit of a rain dance when the fancy takes them.
Yeah. We could keep a few Polynesians on the island to serve the drinks. How about that? That's fair, isn't it? But it's interesting on this space. So Richard Spencer's been invited into it, and immediately, I mean, I must have joined like shortly, as soon as like he'd been invited into it, because there was this guy in there who is like a normie Republican, and he's like, "How dare you invite a Nazi into this space? I will not be present with a Nazi." And the guy who's hosting it is called Stephen somebody. I think these are like MAGA people. And he's like, well, let's just hear him out. Somebody's invited him in. I don't know if he's this man is a Nazi. I will not be present with a Nazi.
Some of my best friends are Nazis.
So Richard's his reputation does still precede him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he is such a pretty boy.
This is you do a lot of sexualizing of Richard. I have to be honest, Claire.
Well, I can sort of understand how he might seem to a lot of people, both female and male. That smile, that roguish smile, doesn't it tickle you?
No, actually, no.
I know it's difficult to admit. That's quite a good one of a clip. I don't know if you ever watch E. Michael Jones, but there's this Richard Spencer smile with a twinkle ting, toothpaste ad
Well,
clip.
I think some people went a little bit far in the memeing of like 2016, so and then it all fell apart anyway. But yeah. So anyway, what's this
It will
space
take.
about? Why am I here?
I just thought it'd be nice to have a chat, about nothing in particular, to see where
It's
the
kind of late,
conversation
isn't it?
goes.
It's quite late. 10 o'clock.
Um,
What's going on?
yeah, yeah. Um, I think sometimes we should just experiment and, occasionally have I don't know, sometimes it's a text of status. It's like, oh, it's 4 a.m. But if I decided to stream, somebody would care. I wonder who it is.
Well, actually, you stand to get more viewers at this time than during the day because the Americans are now all home from work on
Yes.
the east and the west coast are just coming home from work. Is that right? Let's
I
check.
don't know. I
I have
just
a
go
world
like
clock.
when the fancy takes me. It's
Oh
all
no,
it's all a matter of status too, isn't it? Whose time will it be?
it's still only nearly 2 p.m. in Los Angeles. This is something I can never like. I always forget is the vast time difference of the west coast of America. So like when Luke Ford is
Eight
doing his
hours.
streams, yeah, when Luke Ford's doing his streams and we are talking to him like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he's literally just fresh up, out of bed. It's like 7 a.m. for him, which is really weird.
Yes,
And
so,
when I
so
was
you have
in,
this sort of clash of mood. So when you're being really businesslike, everybody is drunk. I get that too.
yeah, so you encounter this often with like the Australians that you know,
Yes.
that you end up on like Twitter Spaces with on a morning, and it's literally like a couple of hours before their bedtime, and so they're pissed, aren't they?
Yes, it's like,
They're
fuck,
completely
that's the only
plastered
time.
at like 10 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's really funny actually because there's a certain vibe about like political shows, I think, which are that it's like evening time, or that's how it feels for us. So like all the content that we might watch or whatever usually gets going around like after in our evening time, doesn't it? Really.
Well, it depends on who is the most important person. And it is the person on GMT, me, and thee. Right, Stephen?
Yes. But what I'm thinking of is like if you follow a sphere,
What
if you
eaters of nationalism? That's
you and
what.
I right now, yeah.
Yeah, right
But if
now.
there's a show, it goes on in the evening time, UK time, or at least it historically has done. So whoever you pick, whether it's I don't know the Jolly Heretic or JF Gariepi or any or the show that I do with Brutus or Academic Agent or any of these shows that go on, they tend to start in the evening time, UK time, 7 or 8 p.m. ish. When you're in America on the West Coast, this
Yes,
vibe
the mood will be different.
it's completely changed because all these shows are happening
No,
at
we
like
we should
11
do it
a.m.
when the fancy takes us, because we are the most important people in nationalism globally.
What's What's going
I'm
to
telling
her?
you my plans for global domination of secular Quranism, and you're going to help me. And now we're going to tell the people globally, right?
Well, just give me a second. I'll just be back in a second. Do we have any viewers? Probably not. Do we?
It doesn't
Not a
matter.
single one.
But it does show you the power of the English language from Australia to here to America. And, well, everywhere in the global empire. Oh,
Not
well,
a fucking viewer. Not a
somebody's
fucking
waiting. I don't know who
single
this Yanni is.
viewer.
It's me, it's John. What's going on?
John.
All right, I'll be back in a minute.
You said you've been
John.
trying to get a hold of me. You just fucked me on Telegram.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure who you are. I may have. John what? Well, anyway, you're live.
You don't see me on camera?
Oh, yes, John Kishler.
There you
What's up?
go. What's going on?
You're looking very youthful. But you've had an adventure with the police, was it?
Yeah, I got swatted the other day. It was horrible.
Well, would you like to tell us in great detail what happened?
Not really in great detail, but I mean it was broadcast live on the YouTube. I mean, everyone saw it, so.
Well, I didn't.
You're not subscribed to my channel? It was on my channel.
Yeah, but you said you deleted it.
Well, it was up there for like 3 weeks. You tell me you couldn't get around in 3 weeks to see the video?
Well, I wasn't aware of it.
That's what I'm saying. If you subscribe to the channel, you should get updates, no?
I do subscribe to it.
I'm breaking your chops. I'm messing around with you. Yeah, you know what?
But I
It
do.
was a horrible experience. It wasn't really fun or exciting. I mean,
I didn't.
I spent 2 weeks in jail because I couldn't make bail. If that's another wonderful, beautiful thing that happened to me, you know.
Well, what happened?
I got swatted. You got to look up what swatting means. You don't know what swatting means?
Somebody called the cops on you.
Saying that I had a gun and they were gonna. And swatting isn't just calling the cops on you. It's more than that. I would implore everyone that's watching to look it up and find out what it means.
Do you know what John means, Stephen?
John means God gives gifts. Oh, sorry, you were asking Stephen?
Yeah, but I don't think he's listening because he's not responding. I just wonder how many people actually know the word.
What, John? The name John? Or you mean swatting?
Swatting.
Oh, I think most people on the internet probably know what it is.
Okay.
Because it's really just the internet thing. I mean, they do it to live broadcasters. People think it's funny that you're live streaming.
Okay, I'm back.
People think it's funny that you're live streaming and then the fucking cops come in with guns about to fucking shoot you. I was lucky I didn't die. I mean, I could have died.
Oh.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, I think maybe you better start with the story again because Stephen is now back.
No, I had my earphones in. I heard. So yes, I know what swatting is. Yeah, swatting is a new internet phenomenon where people if they don't like somebody on the internet, they want to fuck with them. Then they know where they are. So this is like the importance of like protecting your identity on the internet. Is they can call your local police area and say like, this man is dangerous. He's got a gun, or he's like holding somebody hostage, and then the police will, because they think it's a dangerous situation, they won't just go and knock on the door and say, hello, are you okay, sir? They'll like break the door down usually, or whatever. So it can be very dangerous for the person involved.
And most people end up dead. The cops just kill the people because they're animals. And you know,
So where did this happen? Are you in Israel?
am I in Israel? No, I'm in America. God bless America.
In America.
I'm an American. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
I'm in the land
particularly
of the.
dangerous in America.
Yeah.
Particularly dangerous in America, yes. Because they have guns. We don't have police with guns here, so...
Yeah, we're not just a bunch of like limey, like a bunch of, bent pushovers where they just let, the third world come in and do whatever they want. We're better than that, I guess. Sorry, I had to take a jab at jolly old England. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We got rid of our guns.
You don't have guns, but you have every degenerate in the world. You have like every fucking Hindu and Bangladeshian and Paki that you can find, That's probably more dangerous. What do you think is more dangerous? Having a third world country as your country or the United States?
Well, actually, I
Well,
think the States sounds more dangerous than the UK. Well, what is your perception? You were there recently, weren't you, Stephen?
yeah, so look, it depends where you go, obviously. Here's an interesting statistic, Claire. Out of the top 10, the most dangerous cities in the world, right?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Wait, let me find my bookmark.
I think Atlanta, Georgia is the most dangerous place in the world, to be honest. Thank you. Oh boy, I'm outside. I can hear you better. It was so noisy in the mall. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a wonderful experience being swatted. It was a fucking nightmare. Just the fact that you could die is what makes it terrifying. I mean, I'm not a big fan of cops. I'm not a big fan of, unarmed, armed men to the teeth having discretion to kill people, without any repercussions. And then they come for you, and then I don't know.
I mean, how do you think this happened to you then?
Oh, there's a hateful prick named Todd Malakote on the internet who actually came on my show and said that he was doing this. He was the one. He actually came in and told everyone that he was the one. Yeah, it should be illegal. I mean, it should be illegal to call the cops and say the person has a gun when they don't.
Oh well, I think it is a crime, isn't it? So,
I don't know why he's in the back of a paddy wagon.
Wasting police time, bearing false witness, malicious.
I think.
So what would
I think
secular
more than that.
Quranism? What about secular Quranism? What would the punishment be for in secular Quranism?
You would get 80% of the punishment that the person you falsely accused would have got had your false testimony resulted in a conviction. So if I accuse you of 100 lashes offence, and it is recognised that I was bearing false witness, I would be liable for 80% of what you would have received if my false witness had convicted you. Does that make sense?
That's not.
Where do you get
yeah.
that from? Did you just make that
From
up?
the Quran. From the Quran.
Oh, right.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think this guy that did this to me should be. Well, I can't say we're on YouTube. So, where are we broadcasted at? Where are we?
We're just on YouTube. Only
so
two people are watching.
I can't say what I want done. I mean, this person should be. Let's just say, you know how they used to eat pig back in the day with the apple in the mouth, and he's got a stick in his butt, and he's roasted on the fire.
I think what you're saying is he should be fairly treated
He should
by
be
the
drawn and
authorities
quartered like he was an Englishman
according
in
to the
the
law.
Revolutionary days.
Anyway, here's my interesting statistics.
I don't know
Let's
exactly
take a quick
what
look.
drawn and quartered even means, to be honest with you. It's such an old-fashioned term. What does that mean, Claire? Drawn and quartered?
It's a horrible form of torture.
Yeah.
Did I lose Claire?
You just
I
be,
lost my
cut
audio.
up in 4 pieces.
Yeah. So here is crime indexes by city, up to date, mid-year 2024. And the most dangerous cities in the world then: South Africa, Venezuela. These cities, it's like Durban, South Africa, Port Elizabeth, South Africa, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Salvador, Brazil. There's Memphis, Tennessee at number 10. There's Baltimore, number 14. Detroit, number 16. Albuquerque, New Mexico is number 20. St. Louis, Missouri, 25. Oakland, California, 27. But right here, number 30, Bradford, United Kingdom. More dangerous than Mexico City, more dangerous than Bogota, Colombia.
Well, we must do something about it, mustn't we, Stephen?
What is the interesting phenomenon about Bradford, Claire?
Well, a bit of Sharia would come in handy to sort these Bradfordians out, right?
I think there's a bit too much Sharia going on in Bradford.
I don't know what you mean by Sharia. Do you know what you mean by Sharia? You talk about it as if it were a bad thing. Are you being Islamophobic? I got all the words against you.
Boring.
Stephen, this is a game of words.
Have you been drinking, Claire? You have, haven't you? I can tell.
Am I slurring my words?
I think I can tell you've been drinking. Anyway, so, Bradford, more dangerous than Mexico City, more dangerous than Bogota, Colombia.
It's
more
a national disgrace.
It is, yeah.
And we have
then
to
the next one.
Something about it.
And then the next one, look here, number 46, most dangerous city in the world, Birmingham. Birmingham.
I'll see what I can do in Brum.
So what is the common denominator between Bradford and Birmingham? Let me think about this.
Bit working
really
class, isn't it?
Really
It's
hard
a
to
class issue, I think.
Really hard to put my finger
It's
on
a
what
class
is
issue.
the common
Even if you
denominator.
were all white, you'd have, all these pockets of, working classedness. And they wouldn't like, those above them. And there would be social antipathy, even if we were all the same race.
Who is Mike Malzahn? He says he's drunk and he wants to come on.
Yes, it'll be fun.
Really? Will it be fun? Another
Yeah.
pisshead. Oh my god.
I'm being. I mean, what you
I'm
gonna
slumming
say?
it. I'm really slumming it.
He doesn't like Muslims, so you'll be in good company. It's not like I'm, afraid of dealing with challenges to my ideas. Hi, Mike.
Hey,
How are
how's it going,
you?
Claire? I'm on like page
think
88 of your book. I'm almost through it.
You're a slow reader. Have you met SJJ, Mike?
I
think I have.
remember him. I remember him from.
I think I met you on Luke's, haven't I?
I think we were on this stream together once before. And just to clarify, I didn't say I was drunk. I said I've been drinking. So I'm on my way to drink. We have to be
Fair
specific here. But
Any amount
yeah,
of drink
before-
is drunk to me because I don't drink. So,
okay. Well, you would make a good Muslim.
or a Mormon.
Oh, you're a Mormon.
No, or a Mormon. I'm
Or a
white,
Mormon.
so I can't be a Muslim. It's not allowed. But I could be a Mormon, I guess.
He's being a
Well,
very
you-
silly boy.
I know. He knows the Bosnians. Like when Malcolm X did his Hajj, he found white Muslims and retracted his statement that all white people are
No,
devils.
but I've got blue eyes, so it doesn't. I'm not allowed. I'm not like that.
You know, there's Arabs with blue eyes and green eyes, and of course,
They're probably
Afghans.
Christians. They're probably
You're right.
Christians, aren't they?
No, the TUERGE maybe or something in Mali. You don't remember that war when Gaddafi was backing them? When they were the slave traders who would enslave the black Africans and sell them to they were Arabized Africans and sell them to the Arabs and the Europeans. Back in
Moors.
the day. So, no, they weren't more. But anyway,
Oh,
I digress. What? Go on with your. I believe you were saying there's all these British cities with high crime rates, and then you were going to equate it to a high population of Muslims.
Well, there's the World Crime Index, up to date. It's just come out.
He's
And
so
Bradford-
predictable.
Bradford is number 30 on the list, above Bogota, Colombia, above Mexico City for the most dangerous city, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. And what is so special about Bradford
Because
in the
it's
United Kingdom?
English and
Well-
northern. There's something
What if
it
about
is-
these northerners.
It is, no, it is like 80% Muslim.
Bit rough, aren't they, these northerners?
It is one of these places. It's one of these places in the United Kingdom because immigration in the United Kingdom is centered in pockets. It's not spread out across the whole country. So we have
Of
lots
the
of
working
immigrants.
class. You just expect them to be a bit
We have lots of
rough
immigrants, but
around
they
the edges.
apart from places like London, they self-segregate. So Bradford is one of the Muslim areas. There's like millions of Muslims in
Well, what
Bradford.
about,
So much they push the rest out.
What about what is it? Hamlet Towers in London? Isn't that the big Muslim area?
Tower Hamlets.
Oh well, see, I'm an American. Liz, Claire, you are drunk. Jesus H Christ! For someone who's putting up secular Quranism, you shouldn't go on the international World Wide Web drunk like that.
Oh my god! I'm with a pair of pissheads here tonight.
Piss heads unite. Shoplifters of the world, unite and take over.
Claire Cause drinking and eating smoky bacon crisps, probably.
She's like that guy on Vice, Abdullah something, who he got famous for like doing a blog where he ate pork the whole time, and then he Bong Appetit. He had a show on Vice, Muslim kid, smoking pot and bacon with it and stuff.
This is the same. This is all the young Muslims that I've ever met. No word of a lie, right? Every young Muslim that I've ever met has tried to sell me drugs.
Okay, well, we're going to take
Put my
that as
hand on my-
anecdotal evidence and not extrapolate it out to.
I put my hand on my heart, swear to God, they all have tried to sell me drugs.
Right. And this is why the YouTube guys are like, oh, Islam's winning. All these people are converting to Islam, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but you're bleeding
No.
so many people out to Western decadence. It's ridiculous. You know,
Yeah, the young Muslims are the most degenerate that I've ever met. And they're hiding it from, all they're doing is hiding it very well from their dads. They're terrified that their dad will catch them doing it. But they're drinking, they're smoking, they're selling drugs.
so Sasha Baron Cohen with the
I've
Ali
heard
G
this one before.
did it right.
It's true though, Claire. This is the face of like Zoomer Muslims here in the UK. Okay, so your potion doesn't work.
Has secular Quranism been tried anywhere?
Well, Koreanism
I,
has.
I hadn't noticed. I'm going to invite Rake, if you know him.
SJJ,
Right.
what do you think about the claims of the Middle Eastern guys of sport, mostly the oil-rich Arab guys, being so safe and there's no drinking, there's no drugs, blah blah blah, on the Arabian Peninsula?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's,
Did you
yeah,
go to
I
the
don't
World
know.
Cup in Qatar?
No, I didn't.
No.
I don't think I've visited a Muslim country. Um,
You never been to Morocco to go to the inner zones?
nope. So I'm just
Oh,
thinking.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Bruno, maybe. Claire, where's Bruno? He's been to the inner zones in Morocco, I would
I
imagine.
think he rests at weekends.
Oh, the queers are
But
so
I've
bizarre.
sent a few. I've sent the link to a few people, so but more people will be joining us presently. I trust. If
Is
my
it going to
Why
be a
English
won't
party?
somebody?
is not good enough for you,
No, I just thought Bruno was hilarious. He wants to genetically modify children to be white or something. He's like a white supremacist gay guy.
no, he's going to make women extinct and make all parents gay. That's
Okay.
what he's doing.
Even more bizarre than I thought.
It's a scientific dystopia, a sci-fi dystopia.
What's the not Mangala, but the other one's Menagerie or something? Dr. Moreau's Island of the Mirage.
Island.
Yeah, he's going to do all sorts of twisted things with AI and genetic manipulation, apparently.
And artificial wombs making
Yeah, right.
women extinct.
Yeah, I think women have a quicker path to making men extinct than he can do an artificial womb. You should be able to refrigerate enough semen to last you a couple thousand years at least. I
That's
think
true.
you,
Oh, Lord of that. Oh my
I
God!
think
What a
you
terrible.
could probably put
What
men
a
in a
dystopian thought. Oh my.
right.
fucking
I
God,
think you
yeah.
could put men in a permanent coma and
Get rid of us
harvest
for good.
ejaculate from them for as long as they live.
Holy shit!
Yeah, this is what happens when you drink, Stephen. Jesus Christ, you come up with weird thoughts. Claire made me think of coma and Dr. Moreau's. And next thing I know, men are just lying there naked. Like, remember the Coma? What was that in the 70s, late 70s? Coma movie, the original one, where all the bodies are just like hanging there. You just feed them tubes, and it'd be all Amazon women running around and just harvest a little semen when you need a new person. That's a lot easier than an artificial comb or
Yeah,
womb.
that's not as frightening as what you first said, which is that, I mean, like, a single man's ejaculate is like billions of sperm. So,
Oh, that's
I
true.
just realized he said they wouldn't need us at all. They could get rid of us forever, and just like go to like the top 0.1% of Chads, get a sample from each of them, put it in a bank, get rid of the rest of us, and then like there'd be enough for the human race to survive into like, I don't know, 1,000,000 years.
Right. Well, and of course, then once you have more kids, if it's a male, you throw it out, or maybe you genetically test it and let that one grow to adulthood, and it can go on
Probably
forever.
just chop the balls off and keep us as a eunuch slave.
There you go. Yeah, eunuch.
This is what the women have planned for us. I can feel it.
Certainly Claire has. I know. That's why she wears that mask, so you can't see her coming. It's always a risk when you let them, do things. with their teeth.
Oh my god! Have you read by any chance The World According to Garp? Is it The World According to Garp? John
No.
Updike.
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay. Have you? Have you, Claire?
I read it. I thought it was funny, but I can't remember anything of it now. But I
I
remember
think
the
it's that book. It's well, anyway. I'm gonna have to just tell the reason why I'm asking now, but it's a bit graphic, so I apologize. But there's a scene. It traumatized me for life. There's a scene in it where this guy is getting a blowjob in his car, in the driveway, and his wife comes. I think it's his wife comes home from work in the other car and just pulls in the driveway and doesn't realize there's another car there and smashes in the back, and so this woman bites off the guy's knob
Yeah.
because it hits the car and it goes bum. Her jaws go down, and that's him.
I thought you were gonna say she honked and the woman got
No, she
startled.
bit it off. She bit
Same
it
thing.
off.
I assume that
down.
was the ending of it. Was at some point.
Scarred for life from reading that.
Actually, not that long ago, I hooked up with this chick from the bar, and she was orally aggressive with a lot of teeth action going. And I thought this might have been a very bad idea.
You should have just told her to take them out.
You think she was that old? I don't think she was that old. I mean, hey, I haven't had one, but I assume you can't beat a good gummer. I mean, that seems like the way to go.
Oh my god.
Claire, you
Wow.
bring the most debaucherous people to your channel I've ever seen.
You think you're debauched, and you're with debauched people. Is that what you're saying?
I'm a former altar boy. I'm a good Catholic. I am not debauched in the least bit. HBO and Game of Thrones has, sent me in a bad way. But you're the one who's for Islamic law. Well, talking about blowjobs.
And that's just a kink, let's be honest. She just has this idea she just wants to get whipped.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
I didn't think about it. Claire's a submissive dominatrix somehow.
Wait, when a
Somehow I'm
woman
just-
is
I'm
When a
just
woman's
staring at
advocating-
her eyes right now, and I know it's not her, but it's got me very
Yeah.
confused.
she's got a Halloween mask on early. Well, look, when a woman is begging to be subjugated, begging for somebody to give them the hard treatment, I think there's got to be some sexual kink to it. That's just my psychoanalysis, professional psychoanalysis. Yeah.
Absolutely. Did you ever see Billions on was it Showtime or HBO with Paul Giamatti?
Nope.
You should watch it. You'll like it. It's pretty good on many levels. But anyways,
Billions,
is Claire
you
still
say?
here? Yeah, Billions. He's
She's
the
gone quiet.
he's the DA of Southern New York, and so he's going after a guy who runs a hedge fund, and he was like the last surviving member of his hedge fund after 9/11, and he was like the only guy who wasn't at work when 9/11 happened, and he shorted airline stocks, so he made billions.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, like how cutthroat can you be, right? So,
Mm.
and then there's a whole interaction with, but Paul Giamatti's character, I guess, is a masochist. He visits dominatrix and stuff, and it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure if it kept going. I saw like 2 seasons of it, but they're making TV better and better all the time.
Wait,
The
you really
character.
think so?
Absolutely. I mean, what do you think was the best TV ever made, if not the
Well,
current?
I don't watch much. I don't watch much TV. I think the last series that I watched was maybe Lost.
Oh
You see
yeah,
that?
terrible
Or
ending.
24 with Kiefer Sutherland. Oh, so you saw Lost? Yes, terrible
Yeah,
ending.
I
They didn't know how
actually
to end that
remember
program.
I watched Lost with this chick I was trying to bang, and we rented it from Blockbuster. Still, there were still Blockbusters around,
Oh, okay.
and we'd rent like 5 tapes a night and watch them and stuff. I mean, it
Yeah.
was interesting because you obviously had a John Locke and a Hume, and you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, it was great. Apart from some of the flashbacks, they were a bit boring.
yeah. When they
But
started flashing back and then flashing sidewards, and then you had the smoke monster, and I mean, obviously, J.J.
but
Abrams. Some of the other guys must have been Egyptologists. You had the Eye of Horus in the background, or the one in the
yeah,
scene,
the
cave,
Dharma
then the
Institute.
Dharma wheel, and yeah, and then at the end where it was like, okay, all right, they were all dead the whole time, and
Yeah, I
in the
didn't
church,
like that at all. It
yeah,
just shows they did. This is the problem, isn't it, with these things? They don't have a clear ending. So I don't think Lost
no,
was based on a book. So
oh,
it was like,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, I don't think there was a book that it was based upon. So there's no clear ending to it when they started it. And this is the problem. I mean,
Was there
how
not
do
an
you end
ending to
something
the
like
book? How did the book end?
No, I don't think there is a book to it. It's a series without a book, is what I mean.
Oh,
I'm sure
okay,
that's right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Long.
They start with a line, in I think sometimes with the series and stuff, they have good writers at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
everything's going so well, somebody else hires the good writers away, and they got other guys. It was like Game of Thrones where, uh, they got ahead of the books, and then they ended it by like the 2 producers writing the end or something. But in some of these series, I think they have the good writers at the beginning, and they haven't thought the entire arc out. They kind of have maybe a storyboard, one would hope, but they don't really have
Yeah.
a hard ending. And it starts going this way, and they see that's getting popular, and maybe it turns a little bit, and it's like that's even more popular. And then 8 years later, all the people who started the story are gone because they got more money to go start other projects. And the guys at the
But
end just throw something
but for
together. And it sucks.
particularly for a series like Lost, though, it was almost criminal to do what they did because the whole premise of the series was that there was like a mystery that was going to be solved, and each step was getting you closer and closer to solving the mystery. But then at the end, it turned out there wasn't one.
Yeah,
There was no big reveal. So it's like the
right.
worst
But
possible thing.
they made the mystery so complex they couldn't solve it
Yeah.
themselves. So they just went, let's just go with everybody was dead the whole time.
Yeah.
Let's just go
Which
and
is
put them in
such
a
a cop
story.
out.
Yeah, it was like The Sopranos. I mean, I think those are two worst endings of all time. In The Sopranos, they just sat down at a diner and maybe he was back.
I never
Maybe.
watched that one.
Oh, you never
Never
watched
watched
The
The
Sopranos?
Sopranos. No.
It's
I'm not
pretty
into
good
crime.
until the end.
Oh, yeah. The best part of Lost for me was when Ben Linus, when the people that come onto the island, those mercenaries come onto the island and they shoot his daughter, and he's watching from the house, and he goes, "You broke the rules," and then he goes and summons the smoke monster for the first time. He goes down into the house, opens up a secret room in the house, goes down into the cave with his torch, and then twists this thing, and the smoke monster comes out and kills them all. That was the best part. But the emotion, like the psychological aspect of Ben Linus, the character, of how he can manipulate people, and it's very good. Claire, did you watch Lost? I'm guessing not.
A bit of it. I didn't really
bit
get
of
into it.
Oh. Yeah. Missing out.
So can we go back to the topic of the Muslims and how they're ruining Western civilization?
Well, the problem is we've said it all, haven't we, 1,000 times. I mean, what more is there to say about it? So fucking, they're so insufferable.
So I don't know if you guys have seen, it was a YouTube channel. This guy in Michigan. Are you guys familiar with American geology or geography to some degree?
Michigan is just below the Great Lakes, right?
That's right. Well, Lake Michigan's right next to it. It's up by
okay.
Canada. But anyways, somehow we got a shit ton of Muslims up in Michigan. A bunch of Arabs mostly, but also Bangladeshis. We have one town called Hamtramck that used to be all Polacks, and now it's all Muslims. And that's like the only town with the entire council is Muslims, the mayor and everything. But this one guy, I guess, made millions of dollars doing real estate up in the Detroit area. Detroit's in Michigan, obviously. And he said he's going to build a big housing development with a mosque in the middle of it, and all the streets are going to be named after like Muslim warriors and stuff. And
I'm sorry.
what?
Beautiful.
All right. I'm getting there as quick as I can, Claire. I got a pretty strong vodka drink going here, but you're drunk as fuck. Jesus Christ. So anyways, he's like, so do you guys have HOAs in the UK or the equivalent homeowners association?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm familiar with them.
Right. So if you're a developer, you can build this area, you put a bunch of homes in it, and they often create an HOA, homeowners association. And so you have to pay some dues into the homeowners association. And you have rules like, you can't paint your house purple or yellow or whatever. Landscaping kind of gets regulated. So it's also called deed restricted. So he says, so what we're going to do is we're going to make the homeowners association, 90% of the dues from that will go into maintaining the mosque. Right. So the guy was like, well, how are you going to keep the coffers out? I said, well, you can't technically, legally, say no non-Muslims allowed. But if you buy a house in this development, just know 90% of your homeowners association dues are going to maintaining the mosque. And they all just busted out laughing, right? So he's building this development where, like I said, everything's going to have Muslim names in it, and pretty much try to keep all the non-Muslims out by telling them 90% of your dues go to maintaining the mosque, which would be the center part of it. So I don't know if that's taking over, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's taking over, but that's LARPing too. I mean, what is it with these people? I mean,
it's certainly a spit in the face of integration and assimilation. Our Muslims now in America are starting to say integrate, but don't assimilate, as in use our laws for them while not embracing them, kind of, right? Like,
exploit. That's it. Exploit your laws.
Right, exactly. Sue those bastards, right? The Muslims are big on suing people. We have an organization called CARE, CAR, the Council of American Islamic Relations, and they're huge on suing. So
Ugh.
like there was a it was in Minnesota where somehow we have a large Somali population. I don't know why they put them in Minnesota, one of the whitest and coldest states we have, as opposed to down, like in Fort Lauderdale, we got a ton of Haitians. You think you'd put the Somalis next to the Haitians, but
Yeah.
Hamline, ironically enough, Hamline University, in literally a art history class, this teacher showed a drawing of Muhammad. And in her syllabus, she literally put, for any Muslim, like, put a trigger warning. And I think the day before the class that, again, we're going to show, and it's a Persian drawing, right? Like the Shias draw Muhammad all the time, even with his face. Like sometimes you'll
Oh,
see.
really? I did not know that.
Yeah, you'll see Muhammad like without a face, or with a flame for a face or something.
Huh.
But like the Book of Kings, I used to have some 13th century illuminated manuscripts, and they'll draw humans, they'll draw animals, and they'll even draw Muhammad sometimes. So this very famous painting of Muhammad from whatever 10th, 11th, 13th century, the art history teacher shows, and the Somali girl gets upset and makes a federal case out of it, and they fire the professor.
Wow.
CARE comes in, they hold like an hour-long, press conference. This is
Struggle session.
Yeah. And the really funny thing is the organization founded after the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993, because they said, there was all this, evil blowback against the Muslims. I don't know if you guys know, there was a truck bombing in 93, blamed on the blind sheik, and tried to blow up the World Trade Center towers in 93. And one of the first things they did, the American Supreme Court actually has a frieze, that goes around it, like a relief. And it's 18 or 19 ancient lawgivers. And one of them is Muhammad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Jesus isn't in there, but like Confucius, Moses, Drago is in there. So I don't know. That's a great group to be in, but like.
Wait, and this is, so there's a.
You muted yourself.
My mic went off, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So you say there's a statue of him?
More or less, yes. There's a statue of Muhammad on the Supreme Court building. So one
Wow,
of the first.
I'm surprised they haven't attacked that yet.
Yeah, well, they did. Well, they didn't attack it, but that was one of the first things CARE did, was they petitioned the Supreme Court to have it removed. And I think Rehnquist was the Chief Justice at the time. And he said, no, it's just, it's not even Muhammad. Nobody knows what Muhammad looked like, blah, blah, blah. But if you Google like statues of Muhammad in America, you'll see there were court buildings in New York that actually had statues of him, like on the roof or around them. And they were removed because UN ambassadors from Muslim nations, I think it was Pakistan and Indonesia, oddly enough, complained about him. And so New York kind of bowed to him and removed him. That was woke before woke was woke.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. I didn't know about that. Oh, yeah, I looked it up. There's a picture of it, of the relief. It's holding a sword with a book, and they blurred out the face.
Yeah, they blurred up. Yeah, that's their thing. They're upset that he's holding a sword while holding the Quran. It's like, well, he was. That's one of the things they brag about, was he was a warrior prophet. That he won all his battles, but somehow when you picture him with a sword and a Quran, they get upset.
Well, doesn't the Quran open up with him beheading 900 Jews in the desert? No. That's a story, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you're talking about the Banu Nadar. That was after.
I thought
battle.
there's this story of him. Muhammad sat there. He's not doing it personally, but he's watching the beheading of a bunch of Jews.
Yeah. It was 500 and 900. That was after the Battle of Trench, which was
And it's the ones who refused to convert, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
They were.
What's the story there?
Okay, so so the first battle is the Battle of Badr, Badr, however you say that.
Uh-huh.
Where so Muhammad's in Mecca, right? And he's talking about Islam, and the pagans don't like it, and so he flees to Mecca or to Medina.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's caravans running from Mecca to Damascus. And so when he's in Medina, at some point he attacks this caravan, and the Muslims will justify that as not a active war or not a aggressive war. Was that it was justified because they had to leave all their stuff behind in Mecca, so they had to go rob this caravan. So they won that battle. And then there was another battle on the mound where they lost, where the archers broke rank because they ran down to grab the pagan women as they were running away. They were shouting, "Booty, booty," or "War booties," running away, even though Muhammad told the archers to stay on the high ground. But anyway, the third battle is he's in Medina. He does the Charter of Medina, where everyone agrees to defend Medina. Right, and it's mostly Muslims and Jews, and so these are the Banu Nadar, are a tribe of Jews, and they live in an oasis by Medina, so they produce a lot of dates and stuff, and they're kind of wealthy. Not to stereotype the Jews, but they're doing well there. So, anyways, the pagans still don't like Muhammad, obviously, and they come up to attack them. And Muhammad orders a trench dug, but anyways, the Banu Nadar are actually by treaty supposed to defend the Muslims, but the pagans send an emissary up and talk them into not engaging in the battle. So the pagans come up, they attack the Muslims, they lose, and then the Muslims go over to the Jews and say, "Hey guys, you were supposed to be fighting alongside us. What happened?" And there was a Jew who converted to Islam, and Muhammad called him forth and said, "Judge them by what the Torah says." And he's like, "Well, the Torah says you kill traitors." So they beheaded like most of the men as traitors. So that's not the best critique of Islam to me. I think that's something you would see.
Okay. And that's not in the Quran. That's not in the Quran then.
No.
That's just okay. That's just
no. You might be thinking of like 9:5 or 9:29, which again, there's a lot of verses in the Quran that are about war, especially in the 8th and 9th surah, and much of that has to do with there's a called the Treaty Under the Tree, where Muhammad, signs a treaty with the pagans and who broke it. And
well, I haven't read it. I just heard this story, about
Yeah.
the 600 Jews getting beheaded or whatever. I thought it was actually from the Quran itself. I thought, oh, what an interesting way to start a holy book.
No,
If it's not in there, fair enough.
The Quran starts. The first surah is only 7, what they call hayats or verses. There's only 7 verses. And it's like pretty much there's only one God, and it's God. God is God. Blah blah blah. And then the second one. The thing about the Quran though is it's not chronological. So when you start reading the Quran, the second book is called the Cow, and that name just comes from when God told Moses to sacrifice a cow. The Jews were like, well, should it be a male or female? Should it be, what color should it be? They came back with all these questions. Somehow that kind of pissed God off. But even like the book, The Women, deals with war. It's very discombobulated. It's a very arduous read if you endeavor on it.
Yeah, and devoid of any fun whatsoever, from my understanding. I mean, I did
Yeah.
try to read a little bit of it with Claire. Ugh, what an absolute nightmare that was, wasn't it, Claire?
It was all right. You tried.
Claire,
You
why don't you read the Cran? So years ago, my first foray into social media was on a channel called Discuss, Disqus. Has anyone ever heard of it?
Yes.
And yeah, so you could create a channel like literally with one click. So, I'm trolling the Muslims and I'm getting banned from channels and all this. So I created my own channel and I did Let's Read the Quran together. So I posted the Quran like 20 verses every day. And it took, I think, 311 days to get through the whole thing. But it was hilarious.
What the heck?
Because Muslims were like, "What are you doing? What is this?" I didn't make any comments. I just posted the Quran, 20 verses a day. I think if you read the Quran in whatever spaces you like every day, your channel would explode.
Wait, were you reading it out? Or just posting?
No, I posted it from, there's a University of Michigan, obviously. If you Google browse the Quran, it should probably pop up for you, because that one copied and pasted the easiest. I was reading Muhammad Assad's translation of the Quran, but the PDF is very convoluted. He gives footnotes as to why he translates one word this way or that, blah, blah, blah. But that one copy and paste it real easily. So I would just copy and paste it. Day 1, day 2, day 3.
And why were you doing this out of interest?
Well, 1, I reread it as I posted it. And 2, I thought people would comment. But they seem to be mostly upset about it. Muslims always tell you read the Quran.
Yeah, but most of Muslims haven't read it. They don't read it.
I know. So let's read it together. Let's see if you actually believe what you think is in the Quran.
Nobody wants to read that fucking book, dude. I mean, none of the Muslims that I've ever met have ever read it. And, I mean, even the ones who've read it haven't got a clue what they're supposed to be doing. Have you ever seen these Muslim call-in lines where there's like this guy sat there and women will phone in and they'll ask questions like, if it's the 3rd day of the month and a full moon, and my husband comes home after 4 p.m., should I remove my shoes in the kitchen or leave them on and go to bed wearing them? Or some, it's a really complex thing. I go, thank you very much, sister, for asking this question. Alhamdulillah. If it's a full moon and a 2nd day of the month, then but according to the Quran, you should leave your shoes on, sister. Thank you very much. And thank you. Thank you. It's like all this complicated, insane nonsense. None of them have any idea what they're supposed to be doing.
I'm starting to worry about the UK more and more now.
Yeah.
But no, there's no call-in shows like that in America, at least that I've seen. But the Ask Zed guy I see on YouTube is funny. I do know there's hadiths about how to clip your nails, your toenails. You go left to right, which foot you start with first.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Claire's little avatar there. I don't know if she has to pluck those eyebrows or not, but you're not allowed to pluck your eyebrows. But you do have to shave your pubes. I didn't realize the Muslims were the original bald eagles back in the day, but
yeah,
it's a fascinating religion, right up until they slit your throat.
Claire, does secular Quranis ever require ball shaving?
Oh,
No.
Yeah, that's in the Hadith.
Oh.
Here, you want me to grab it for you? Let's see if Islam
Not
QA
really.
is up.
Not really.
Yeah, the server's down. Islam QA's been down for like 3 days. I wonder if Mossad's gotten them or something. What did you guys think about the pagers exploding? How the hell did they do that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Disavow, of course.
Do you watch was it the Iranian guy Morsi TV or something like that? Mousi?
Absolutely not. I don't watch any of these people. Claire's literally
Well,
the only one that I let talk to me about this stuff.
he's a very English Persian. He's like, say Britannia rule. So he's like a right wing, I assume non-Muslim, Muslim Persian, or at least his father's Iranian or something. But he's like, this is like James Bond shit, man. I just started blowing up pagers. My brother, who has a degree in computer science, said, yeah, if you can send a signal to something so fast that the battery just heats up to the point where it explodes.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't that. They were actually, and it was actually an intercepted. We know how they did it. It was an intercepted consignment of pages that had explosives inserted. They actually inserted like C4 in them.
That's why the Japanese were like, we haven't made those walkie-talkies in like 10 years. You're saying, yeah.
I think it was from a shipment they tracked down from Taiwan, intercepted by Mossad at some point. Explosives inserted inside, and then, so yeah, I mean, an incredible intelligence op.
Well, that's why
hand it to them.
I'm hoping, I assume, when we sell F-16s to Saudi Arabia and all that, we have some sort of kill switch built into them. That if we go to war with them, we just flip a switch and they all freaking blow up.
I've often wondered that. How
who would buy arms from another country?
Exactly. How can you trust in today's age something like even a Tesla? How can you if you can remote control a Tesla? Surely, like your F-35, you can't trust that there's not a kill switch on it.
Yeah,
surely.
That's a good point. Any cars, any phones, anything. Your microwave, not exactly the same. Very low tech, obviously.
But I have watched actually an interesting guy who talks about all this about arms procurement. How the problem is for countries, the massive amounts of research, development, and production that go into developing something like a next generation fighter are way beyond more than any. There's only a few countries that can even do such a program, and it is at such cost that only a few can do it. America can do it. China can do it.
Russia,
it's even questionable.
Europeans. Yeah, they're so far behind in technology, you can't catch up now.
Yeah,
like
so it just
most of
comes
them
down
can't
to
build a
just buy
jet,
them.
probably. Maybe not even a turboprop.
Yeah.
So how are they going to get to a fly-by-wire, fifth generation tech? It's funny, actually. Speaking of jets, my dad worked for Honeywell for 35 years in space and strategic avionics. And in 1987, he went to the War College in D.C. And he said one day they showed him footage from, I don't know if it was the 6-Day War or the Yom Kippur War, but he said, the Israelis, I think they were flying French Mirages back then, would get behind like an Egyptian MiG. And, they had cameras on the guns at that point. And you see them in the crosshairs, and the Israeli would fire. He'd hit the Egyptian MiG. The pilot would eject. Next day, same thing. Pilot ejects after being shot. Third day, the Israeli would just get behind him, and the guy would eject. Right? Fourth day, Israeli gets behind him, guy ejects. Fifth day, Israeli gets behind him, shoots him, pilot never ejects.
Why is that?
The Egyptians disabled the ejector seats,
Oh wow!
right?
Holy shit!
So, they had, especially if it was the 67 war, they had more pilots than they had planes because the Israelis preemptively wiped out most of their Air Force. But,
Usually the pilot is the most important thing, obviously. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
right.
Takes a lot more money to train a pilot than it does to buy the aircraft.
Right. Yeah. But the Israelis recovered the downed planes, and they literally saw the ejection seats were disabled. It's the old fighter come back on your shield thing. But yeah, and the Israelis, like, and I said to my dad when he told me that story, I said, yeah, I was just watching a thing on their tanks are very unique because they put their engines in the front. And of course that makes you susceptible to getting your engine knocked out, but it also like increases your armor capacity for the crew. Getting through the whole engine block and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the Israelis are big on survivability of their people. And in fact, my dad says, yeah, I remember, I think he said in the 70s, he was at Edwards Air Force Base, and there was like a colonel there or something, and they were showing him, I don't know, an F-15 or one of our newer jets at the time. And my dad looked across the tarmac, and there's this jet with a rope around it, And he's like, well, what is that? Can we go look at that? And the guy's like, no, you can't see that. You can't. It was an Aardvark 111, I think, or something. And my dad says, it looks weird. It seems like it has a big belly on it. And he's like, yeah, well, that's an Israeli plane. And they add more counter strike measures than we have, like more flares and more survivability, because they want every one of their pilots and their planes to survive, because they know they're kind of outnumbered if you group everybody together against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small country. What is it? 9 million people, 150,000 army or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's more Jews in America than there are in Israel, right? There's only 15 million Jews in the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what the fuck's gonna go on. What they're gonna do with the Middle East. I mean, holy shit.
Everybody
How do you
seems
solve
worried
that
about
problem?
this. I think I think it actually will solve it. I used to always say you'll never solve it because they're religious fanatics. But if you look at like Saudi Arabia and the other Gulf state guys, they've gotten so rich, they want to live. The Iranians, I think, can be a problem.
No, but the Israel-Palestine thing, how you going to solve that? It's just unsolvable, isn't it? Unsolvable, especially now that Gaza's been bombed into the Stone Age again. I mean, how do you solve that?
Well, I think that they'll rebuild Gaza. Qatar, the Gulf states, and us and the Europeans will pay to rebuild Gaza. There'll probably be a pretty big exodus, though. Jordan will take in more of them. Egypt will. It's weird. The Israelis want, obviously to take the entire Israel proper. The West Bank is the big prize. They pulled out of Gaza in 2004.
Yeah.
But Gaza has exploded in population since then. But now they're trying to bomb them all out. They're trying to get them to run.
But there's nowhere to run.
There is nowhere to run because the Egyptians won't open the door, which you think the Israelis want the Egyptians to say, let them flood in. I don't know if you saw that there was one report in the Sinai. It looked like they were building something, like they were leveling ground out and maybe going to make a huge refugee camp in the Sinai. But I think ultimately in the next 20 years, if you look at the West Bank since like the Oslo Accords, the Israelis have taken over huge swatches of it. They built these huge walls. They make these corridors where only the Jews go and only the Muslims go. And, you know,
It's the Gaza situation that I just don't see getting resolved. I mean, you would think, or I would think, that the Americans, basically would pay, because you're basically, you pay for Israel, basically, or you pay a lot. So wouldn't it just be cheaper in the long run just to like pay Egypt and Jordan to take these people in? Just pay them. Take these people
yeah,
in,
I
put them
mean,
up. Just
what
pay
would
them.
it be though? Because, I mean, $500 billion?
I don't know.
But yeah, I think that's what will happen. Eventually, the Gazans will get absorbed into. I think the land will probably just go into Egypt, and the people will disperse through Egypt and Jordan and whatnot. You know, uh,
I mean,
I
supposedly these people are economic units anyway, aren't they? They're economic units. They're supposedly. We're told that when we get them, that they're valuable to us. Whoa, we're supposed to clap our hands and say yes. Whoa, we've got another one.
You mean you would take them in because they're economically
No, that's what
valuable?
we're told. We're told that all migrants are economic benefits. So
Oh,
what
well,
I'm
that's
saying
true.
is
We
that
told that too.
it's like you'd think you'd expect Egypt or whatever to be welcome these people or something. I don't know. It's just
Well, I think there's a difference between the industrialized world being told we need more labor as opposed to Egypt that probably has a unemployment rate of 10% or more already, certainly for men 18 to 35 or something.
yeah.
But yeah, I think within the next 50 years, maybe even before that, 30 years, the whole Palestine will just pretty much be dissolved. Uh, the landmass of Gaza itself, I'm not sure where it would go. I would think right now, if I was Benjamin Netanyahu, I'd be digging a big canal between Israel and Gaza down into the Red Sea and create a second canal to go against the Suez Canal and just as a barrier between them. And then the West Bank, like I said, I think obviously East Jerusalem, they want all of Jerusalem. And the West Bank, you want to get to the Jordan River. I remember actually, I think it was Tom Friedman in 2004 when Ariel Sharon pulled out of Gaza, when they actually had settlements and they went in and arrested the Jews and dragged them out. He was like, well, yeah, who wants Gaza? What is it? It's a piece of desert. It's got some shoreline to the Mediterranean, but there's no water source. If you cut them off, they can't survive.
Yeah, well, that's the state of it at the minute, isn't it? It's been bombed into the absolute stone age. I don't think there's a building left standing when you see the pictures coming out of the place. So, God knows what the fuck is going on there.
And that's, every time they mow the grass, maybe not to this extent, but they level a bunch of it, and then they rebuild it. And it's like, well, why do we keep rebuilding it? We only know this is going to happen again. And sure enough, it has. So now maybe everybody won't rebuild it.
You would expect there to be an enormous, refugee exodus via the sea. I mean, surely can't you just get on that, make yourself boats and get on that sea and get out? surely this. I mean,
Right,
I need to
and
look
that's
at the map.
interesting. There may be a greater exodus than we're being told. You know, obviously they're claiming whatever that crossing is with Egypt. You know, oh, the Egyptians have it closed and stuff. There's got to be people making it out. There's got to be people. I mean, you got to. I don't know. I've never really looked at the geography that much.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I'm just looking at a map here. So why wouldn't
You
you
can't walk in the
hop
Sinai
into the sea?
Peninsula.
Why wouldn't you hop into the sea and just go and pole up on an Egyptian beach?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
aren't people doing that?
Yeah, they can make it up to France and stuff across the Mediterranean. Why can't you make it from there to?
It's 20 miles across from France to the UK. You know, and they jump in boats every single day, you know, hundreds of them, and make it over here. So why aren't they hopping into the sea? It's like a beach in Gaza. I've seen it. It's a literal beach. So why aren't they hopping into the sea and just going a mile down the coast and climbing out onto the beach in Egypt?
Yeah, and then
I
just
need-
start
we
walking to Cairo and then
Yeah,
make your
we
way
need
to
an
Morocco
answer.
if you want to.
Because I mean, the last place that you would stay is in Gaza right now. Surely, you would. I would, if I was in Gaza right now. I mean, I would risk that. I would risk that.
Yeah, even I mean, I don't know. We get guys up from, you know, obviously Cuba's 90 miles away.
Hmm.
How far is Cyprus there to the north? Well, that's got to be more than 90 miles, I guess. That'd be a few hundred.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so the Sinai's right there, right? You just hop over
Yep.
into the Sinai Peninsula and start walking, and you head your way down to Sudan to get in another war if you want, over to Libya. But yeah, I think there's a bigger exodus than they're letting on. You know,
Hmm.
the Muslims like to say, "Oh, the Palestinians are, you know, have their faith in Allah and that they're not moving and blah blah blah." I suppose to some degree, but I'm amazed. Like every time when there's a story and they're like, "Oh, this airstrike killed 20 people," I'm like, that's it? 20? It knocked down like a 5-story building. You know, like there's 2.2 million people in this little strip of land. How is it every time something doesn't fall over, it doesn't kill 200 of them?
Yeah, it's an absolute shithole. I don't know how it's going to be solved.
Well, I think the Gulf states will ultimately normalize relations with Israel within 10 years. Qatar will back off their backing of Hamas. Iran, the regime will have to fall, I guess, and a moderate, you know, secularist Shia wanting, you know, to engage with the West will come to power, and they'll stop backing Hezbollah, and everyone will kind of be forced into a peace, and then once everybody doesn't want to die, things will get better.
Yeah, this might sound bad, but I almost would like them, you know, to rebuild their third temple, or whatever. Tear down that freaking mosque, build your third temple, and then, because, I mean, this whole thing, you know, about the Messiah's coming back or whatever, and this, or, you know, all this apocalyptic politics that people are playing out because they believe that that the script is playing out, or it's got to play out to a certain event, and building the third temple will bring back the Messiah or whatever. Build it then. If that's what you believe, build it so we can just get to this point and see if the freaking Messiah shows up. You know,
Right.
let's just get do it.
Start
Do it then.
Start slaughtering the red heifers.
Whatever, just
Have
do
you
it.
seen-
Build the temple. Let's get this over with. And then when it doesn't show up, because I'm a atheist, so I don't believe in any of
Right.
that bullshit. But then will everybody be happy, and will they go, well, I guess we got it wrong, then, or what?
Right. Well-
I don't know.
Have you seen the red heifer thing?
I know someone in America's breeding red heifers, aren't they?
Yeah, well, apparently the Israelis bought 5 red heifers from Texas,
Yes,
Like
yeah.
200,000 each or something. They brought them over. I think one has been discounted because it has a blemish, but that's part of the ritual. Is not only to rebuild the temple, is they have to sacrifice these unblemished red heifers. So
Good. Get the temple built. Let's get this over with. And the Messiah won't show up, and then everybody can realize, oh, we just were a little mistaken. We got all this wrong. You don't need to go into, be all this apocalyptic business anymore. We can all just carry on and just be nice and secular.
Well, speaking of Lost, have you seen The Leftovers
No.
on HBO? I literally just finished watching it, and but like predictions and stuff. There's one part where there's this doomsday cult type thing, like in the 1800s, and
Yeah.
and the guy keeps writing on the chalkboard, end of the world, April 15th, 1886, and of course it comes and goes, and like a pigeon flies in, carrier pigeon or something, he unrolls the scroll. And he erases April 15th and moves it to October 20th or whatever. And they just keep moving the date up and up and up. So even if they build the temple, nothing happens. I'm sure the religious nuts will just be like, oh, well, no, we misread it, this bit or that bit. They'll just tweak it and move on to more nonsense. All right, well, I got to pee again. You guys aren't drinking enough. Claire, how much are you drinking?
Are you still there, Claire?
Yes. I dozed off.
Oh my god, right. Well, is it time to end the show? Or
I
what?
don't know.
You are drunk, aren't you?
No. I mean, I'm making sense, aren't I?
You haven't said anything for the last hour.
It was nice lying back, listening to discuss things, getting to know each other.
I was promised a party, and this isn't a party. So anyway, it's like 11:15, so I think I've got to go.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Well, nice of you to come.
Thank
you
you.
both for coming.
Well, Mike is at the toilet, so you won't know that.
I'll end it then.
All right.
Good
If Mike
night.
watches it back, it was good talking to him. All right. Good night.
Yes. Night.